Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today what we are going to be basically going over is my 2020 updated Senate prediction. And in order to use as a reference, I'm basically using the results from the 2014 election results. I went by Politico and the Wikipedia general page. So basically, back in 2014, it was a Republican wave year. The Republicans gained 9 whole seats in the United States Senate, flipping states like Montana, South Dakota, Colorado, Iowa, Arkansas, Louisiana, North Carolina, in West Virginia. There was a lot of states that the Democrats controlled that were in normally Republican states, but had pretty popular Democratic senators. Even in the safe Democratic states like New Jersey, Delaware, Illinois, they were also not within safe margins for the Democrats, which again is something to definitely take into account. But going into the 2020 Senate election, this is not going to be a year where the Republicans maintain that strong presence in a lot of these states. A lot of states like Colorado, North Carolina, Maine, they have, and like Virginia, they have all become even more Democratic. And also states like Arizona, they have also gained a new Democratic identity, which definitely will make them a lot closer. So going into the 2020 map, first what I'm going to do is fill out the safe blue states. These are states that I definitely do not see the Republicans having any shot at whatsoever. I believe that's actually Virginia too. Virginia, Mark Warner, he did win by a substantial margin previously in an election like 2020, where the Democrats are expected to overperform and maybe even match the 2018 results, where they did not do as great in the Senate, but they definitely outperformed in the popular vote in both the House, the Senate, and on other down ballot races. Going into the safe Republican seats, there are quite a few. Not Kansas. Oklahoma. Yeah, that's all the safe Republican. So, looking at both the safe seats for each party, the Democrats are already at an advantage with 43 to 38 seats, such as, Virginia, which were within 1 percentage point, which was one of the closest races back in 2014. Now it's a safe state because of the overwhelmingly Democratic deep blue trifecta that Virginia has developed into. So going into our likely Democratic states, state of Colorado, Minnesota, Michigan, New Hampshire. Yeah, that's about it for the Democrats. Again, the Democrats already having a flip, so it would actually be under this color. They're flipping the state of Colorado, which went to Cory Gardner back in 2014 by a lean margin. Flipping the state from Tom Udall, which is actually quite notable since the Udalls have quite a strong presence in the Southwest. With Mark Udall being the senator from New Mexico, their name is very popular. It's very strong, and the fact that he did lose is quite notable, especially during a Republican wave year. Going into our likely Republican states, the state of Mississippi, Colorado, West Virginia, South Carolina, Texas, Alabama. These are all of our likely states for the Republicans. The reason that I have West Virginia as likely is because I have a feeling that it will be a lot closer than a lot of people are expecting. Also, the state of Texas, John Cornyn, I expect him to overperform Trump's margin in the state. And the state of Alabama, this would actually be a Republican flip. Generally, I believe that this is going to be the case, as current polling shows Doug Jones down by quite a decent margin. This is the state of Alabama, and as shown in the 2014 results, even if you're in a Republican state in a more increasingly divided country, it's really hard to keep your seats. And even though there are states like Montana and Kansas which have a strong Republican identity, there is a reason why they are competitive, and I'll get into that in a second. So now going into our lean Democratic seats, the state of Arizona, another flip for tonight, is going to be a lean Democratic seat, along with the state of North Carolina and the state of Maine. The reason that I think that these would basically all flip to the Democrats is the state of Arizona, Martha McSally, not very popular. She's losing significantly in the polls to Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly actually outperforming Joe Biden's margin in the state. I don't really see a chance for her. In North Carolina, Cal Cunningham also having a strong lead in the state, either on par or actually outperforming Joe Biden's margin once more. And in the state of Maine, Susan Collins did win the state by a safe margin back in 2014, but she's flipped from becoming one of the most popular senators to the least popular senator, even being less so than Mitch McConnell, which is, that's a very low bar to reach below. And because of that, and in addition to that, there is a lot of funding for her Democratic opponent, Sarah Gideon. So I have a feeling that this state will flip. Now going into our Republican-leaning states, the state of Georgia. Their special election is going to be a lean Republican. I have a feeling that it's going to be really difficult to find who the second place person is going to be in the runoff. Actually, yeah, I need to mark this as a runoff. Georgia, both of their elections, I have a feeling, are going to go to a runoff. I have a feeling that the regular election is going to be so close that it's probably going to lead to a runoff. And the special election, no one's going to receive over 50% of the vote. Doug Collins, I have a feeling he'll receive between 30-35% of the vote. And Raphael Warnock, Matt Lieberman, and Kelly Loeffler, they're all vying for second place, and it's going to be really difficult for one of them to get it. If I had to give it to one right now, I would say it's leaning towards Raphael Warnock just because he is a Democrat, and it would just seem a little weird if two Republicans were to advance, especially if the vote was split that much. But, anything can happen. Yeah. So going into, also I think the state of Alaska is also going to be lean. Back in 2014, this was also a lean state. It was a flip with an incumbent Democrat, Mark Begich, who did also lose back in 2018. But generally, I have a feeling it's going to be quite a close state, a lot closer than what people are thinking. Going into our tilt Democratic states, the state of Montana, I have a feeling is going to be a tilt Democratic state. Steve Bullock running against incumbent Senator Steve Daines. I believe Steve Bullock is matching Steve Daines' fundraising numbers. And he also was a very popular governor in the state of Montana who did win statewide on a presidential level back in 2016. So because of that and the fact that he did have national attention for running for president or on the Democratic side in 2020, he has built enough of a name for himself to win the Senate seat. And in the state of Kansas, I have a feeling this would be another Democratic flip. The whole reason that I think that this is going to be a Democratic flip is the Republican nominee is likely going to be Chris Kobach, who lost the governor's race to a Democrat back in 2018 by about 5 points, which is quite notable. This is the state of Kansas. It's supposed to go for the Republicans almost always, and the fact that it did not, and even back in 2014, during a Republican wave year, it was a likely Republican state, but it had different factors and whatever. But Kansas trending more blue. I have a feeling it's going to be for the Democrats on the Senate level, not on the Republican level. In the state of Iowa, this is a Republican tilt state. Joni Ernst, even though she has had dipping approval numbers, I have a feeling that contrary to Kansas and Montana, Donald Trump will really help push Joni Ernst over the finish line. And yeah, polling has been super close between Teresa Greenfield and Joni Ernst, and because of that, it is really more of a toss-up state. But yeah, so yeah, 6 Democratic flips, 1 Republican flip. The Democrats would gain 5 seats. If I were to put this into just exact terms without the margins, this is what it would look like. I'm also going to characterize each state as how I think they're going to go. I actually do think that John Ossoff will win the Georgia Senate race over David Perdue. But yeah, this is my general 2020 prediction. This is how I think it will go if the election was held today. Of course, a lot of things can change from now and November 3rd, but, you know, this is my prediction. If you disagree with